Hey, everybody. Welcome to It Tastes Different Gaming Appetizers. And tonight, more Switch 2 rumors. Switch 2, please. By this point, Nintendo's not going to have anything to announce with the Switch 2. It's all going to have been leaked. So, according to the new rumors, we have console price and possible release time frame with this latest release stuff. So, a new Switch 2 rumor has hit the internet and provides us with perhaps our best information yet on the price and release date of the upcoming console. Throughout this year, we have got nothing but leak after leak after leak and information after information, with Nintendo not saying a damn thing. You know, there was even rumors that it was coming out this holiday season, but at this point, there's no way in hell because at Nintendo, there'd be no way for even Nintendo to have pre-sales going on by this point. So Nintendo itself is yet to say anything, but at this point, there's not going to be any secrets. By the time it comes out, somebody's going to hit the nail on the head. So, but like I said, luckily it seems that this information has been leaked by an accurate source, they're saying. So, originally reported by Nintendo, it has been claimed that Nintendo is targeting a release for the Switch 2 some point in the summer 2025, so between June and July. That it was what was mentioned in that report. It says Nintendo has been ramping up its production of the Switch successor in the months ahead. You know, because at this point we're about 6-7 months away from all that. It says not long after this report about the Nintendo leaker Samus Hunter took to social media and said that the release window for the Switch 2 is similar to what they've heard about for the hardware. The insider also added more details regarding the price of the Switch 2 and said Nintendo's aiming between $399 and $449 depending on your region, right? Because price is always different between regions, right? So that's quite the price jump, right? Because I think you guys feel free to correct me. The original price was $299, right? Because it wasn't I don't think it was $399. I mean, you can get it now for between $200.
$300.
Yeah, it's $300 is what I thought. I didn't buy it right when it came out, but I got it shortly after, and I think I got like a $250 deal for $250 or something. But like I said, none of this stuff is officially Nintendo leaked. I think there was also some images of the Joy-Cons in this leak and some other things like that. So I mean, and also there's been rumors of like 6 other development studios that are working on games that are for the Switch 2. So, you know, obviously the best kept secret in the gaming industry is the Switch 2. You know, Nintendo doesn't talk about the Switch 2, but everybody else knows about the Switch 2. Nintendo pretends there's no leaks out there. They're like, we don't know what you're talking about. What's the Switch 2 thing you're talking about? What's going to be funny if it comes out not called the Switch 2, Switch Duo or something. I don't know. You know. So we're going to go around and find out what everybody thinks about these leaks. But what I would like to ask with this leak is a $400 Switch basically being a handheld console in or out of your price range for this type of gaming device. Because we've also talked about, you know, the next gen Xboxes and PlayStations are going to be the $700+ mark, right? So do you believe that this $400 price mark is true? And if it's $400 or $450, are you still in for this console? You know, Nick is the one with us with 2 of these things. You know, he's probably the biggest handheld gamer out of the group of us. He likes to play a lot of games with his hands, but you know, Nick, what do you think about these rumors? Do you think they're true? Are you looking forward to it? And are you going to get one at that $400 or $450 price mark?
I don't know if they're true as far as the release date goes, right? I mean, because that's been rumored several times and it's all over the place. Price point, though, I would say probably looking at $400, $450, somewhere around there. I would say about $400, I would imagine. Again, depending on region, right? But I imagine that's how much it's going to be. And as far as like, am I going to get one? Probably, but it really just depends on what games are going to come out for it, especially at launch. If they give me a Metroid at launch, or a Zelda, or I don't know, a really good Mario, I guess. I mean, Odyssey was really good, so something similar to that. Shane said something. I don't know. Which game are you talking about, Shane?
No, I was saying Odyssey. When you said Odyssey, I was like, it's great. I loved
Oh
Odyssey.
yeah,
I
it is
think
great.
it was amazing.
Yeah. So I would say one of those, right? That would really get me to buy it. Like I love Metroid. I know we're getting a Metroid Prime 4, which has a 2025 release date. Last thing I saw. So it could coincide with the launch of the Switch 2. And that would be awesome. That would definitely make me buy one. I love Metroid. And for it to come out, a Metroid Prime 4 to come out with the release of the Switch 2 as a release title would be like a knockout of the park for Nintendo. And honestly, I'm gonna go down the rabbit hole here. Maybe that's why it's been delayed, right? Or not really delayed, but Nintendo has been kind of like, maybe the Switch 2 is ready to go, but they're waiting for Metroid Prime 4 to finish so they can release it at the same exact time. And so they're just kind of like holding off. Like, maybe they're thinking, because we were originally thinking it was going to come out at the end of this year. And so maybe they were thinking, okay, Metroid Prime 4 is, set to come out. I think they're going to be ready. And then Retro's like, we're not quite done yet. We need to push it. And they're like, okay, cool. We'll just coast on the release for the Switch 2. Because they know if the Switch 2 comes out and Metroid Prime 4 comes out as a launch title for it, that thing will sell like none other, right? That'd be the same as like launching a Zelda with it or something like that, right? I mean, Nintendo fans love Metroid as much as they love Zelda, as much as they love Mario. So it's going to sell really well, I think. And so that might be why Nintendo's been kind of hush hush about it, is because they're waiting for Prime 4 to be good to go, and then they can release it at the same time. I don't know. Speculation, put on tinfoil hats, but that might be what's going on. So if they do that, then I'm all for it. I'll probably be all for it regardless, but especially launch titles is the biggest thing. If they have nothing really at launch, then it ain't gonna be a point of getting one. But if they do have an awesome title, a killer title at launch, then yeah, it's definitely going to be worth having at launch, right? But again, it just depends. So I don't know. We'll see. I suspect it will be out next year. The Nintendo Switch 2. They can't keep dragging their feet. The Nintendo Switch itself is really long in the tooth, and a lot of games are struggling to play on it. The last Zelda, Echoes of Wisdom or whatever. That's a nice looking game and everything, but it does have some frame rate dips, some major ones. And so I don't even know, like, Metroid Prime 4 really needs a new device to play on. Like, I think the last time we saw like some gameplay or some like snippet of Metroid Prime 4, that looked a little better than what the Switch could do, if I remember correctly. And so it's like either Retro's really found a good way to like utilize the Switch hardware as old as it is, or they're running on something other than the Switch. I don't know. I'm gonna put my hat on, keep the aliens out of my head, but we'll see. Shane, what do you think?
There's plenty of room in your head for those aliens. Oh, about Switch too. I don't know how to feel about the price. Nick is absolutely right about one thing, though. It's got to have a launch title, and not just Yoshi's Woolly World 2. I mean, it's got to have a killer app for it. But I think Nintendo is also being extremely smart by just not saying nothing, letting the rumors fly, letting all the so-called revealers, hey, I heard this from Nintendo, or look at this image I found or I received from a buddy of mine who says he worked for Nintendo, but he really works at Wendy's down in Illinois. It's really smart for Nintendo. I mean, you don't say nothing, and all you're going to do is build up more interest and intrigue and wonder and questions and all that. I personally have been hoping the Switch 2 is not a Switch 2. I personally been hoping it's a true console. It's not going to happen. I mean, the Switch 2 made too much money. I mean, it's going to be called the Switch U, by the way. So just like they did with the Wii. And would I pay $400 for it? If I could get through all the scalpers, I think I would pay $400. I really do. I love the Switch. I think it was interesting, and I think it's a damn good console for what it is. The problem is, it's also at release, it was still a generation and a half behind tech wise. That's the hardest part about the Switch for me, is a lot of the games that they were trying to put out, like Resident Evil 7, you had to stream it because it could not handle, the Switch could not handle the cartridge, or whatever was the biggest issue for it. It could not handle the power that Resident Evil 7 required. Matter of fact, Nick or Pat, you might quote me on this, but wasn't God, like they tried to put like every Bethesda game out on that thing at one point, and none of them ran worth a crap. I mean, like from the Fallouts to the Elder Scrolls, none of them ran worth a crap.
Well, remember they put like Mortal Kombat 1?
Yes, and it's like clay fighters.
Version. Yeah.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. So that's the problem with something like the Switch. If it was Nintendo brand, it looked great. And most of the time, if it was developed by Nintendo, it played great as well, not just looked great. But Nintendo don't put out that many first party games in a year or in 2 years or in even 5 years. So you didn't get those quality gems, but they did have some great games on it, but they were not the God of War graphic hog, Spider-Man graphic hog, Indiana Jones graphic hog kind of games. They were more like Shin Megami Tensei 5, I think it was, or what was that looked very pretty for an anime style game. Two different beasts there. So that's the problem I'm having with the Switch 2, getting too excited for it, because I want to know what it can actually do. I mean, none of us in this group want a Switch 2. We want a real Nintendo. But none of us are going to complain about a Switch 2 as long as it can do a lot better than what the Switch 1 will. Well, except for Pat. But Pat will complain about free I can't say that word on the air here, but he would complain about that too. So
yeah, spoiled.
Yeah. It's out of wart. No. The problem with the $400 price tag is I don't know what the Switch 2 can do yet. If it's a very minor upgrade from the Switch 1, I don't want it, not for $400. Now, I don't think it will be minor. We've talked about what it could do, and it's going to be backwards compatible according to the rumors. That's a big benefit. So, the medium that it's going to come out on, is it going to have something like a UMD now? Is it going to have that much more memory? Is it going to have a better screen? What's it going to do? What's it capable of? Too many questions still. None of the rumors really address these things. We've seen snippets of it'll be another 1080p screen. It'll have 4K. It'll, bleach your butt hair. I mean, this thing will do anything, everything, and nothing all at the same time. That's all you're getting from the rumors. So $400, it's got to be worth it as a true upgrade from the Switch, not just like a mid-gen bump. It's got to be a true new console. So, but for $400, it better be. Pat, what about you? You looking forward to another Yoshi's Woolly World 2 at launch, or maybe Princess Peach does dishes?
My whole complaint about that price tag is that supposedly it's running on the NVIDIA T239, which is their SoC chip or system on a chip, which is basically everything on this chip, right? That thing isn't even close to Xbox Series X or PS5 quality. But yet you're charging more than a PlayStation 5 and the same cost for an Xbox Series X. That's a hard sell for me, but I already own both of those, so I wouldn't have to buy them, right? And maybe that's what Nintendo's banking on, is that they're obviously going to get the hardcore Switch fan, the hardcore Nintendo fans, right? I mean, they're going to spend the $450, whatever it is, they're going to buy it. There is a market. The market for me is rough. Like, I want to play the Metroid Prime when it comes out. That I really want to play that. But at the same time, am I willing to spend $400 for it? And I don't think I am. Because that's my problem, is that the rumored, NVIDIA T239 chip, while it's a good chip, it's not a comparison to what Sony and Nintendo have.
Question for you, because you guys are techies. So that chip, with what you're saying, Pat, how would it compare to the Series S for what the Series S can actually do?
I don't think that. I still think you're behind. It's still less raw power, less weaker GPU. Everything is still weaker. It's not reaching targeted performance of even the Series S. I mean, you have higher GPU count on the Series S. The T239 is built for it's optimized for a handheld. So it's optimized to save battery life. So you're not going to get the same performance even out of a Series S. So you're not going to play current gen games or that are only on the even what the Series S can run. Let's just be honest. So let's just throw the X and the PS5 out the window. The things that the Series S struggles on, the Switch ain't going to play them. Because if it struggles, the Series S struggles, usually the things that it's struggling on is the GPU and the and then the CPU output. And since you have a system on a chip, an SoC, you have to have battery life. You have to basically control its output, or else you're just going to kill the battery, right? So the Series S is still significantly more powerful in the GPU, and also because of it's what are they running, the AMD RDNA 2, I think, so on the Series S. So I don't know. It's mobile power versus giant, full blown console. And how are you going to sell something? I don't know. To me, I think they still have a hard sell ahead of them, right? Because obviously you're going to get your fanboys, because all the rumor stuff that I've been reading is basically the reason that they're pushing all this and saying that it's so close to coming out is because there was supposedly a recorded shipment of 836,000 of those T239 chips from NVIDIA to a known Switch 2 builder, right? And they're also talking about another 803,000 RAM modules by Micron, Samsung, and Hynix, as well as some storage units from 290,000 storage units from Kioxia and Hynix. So that's where they're getting all this. They're saying that Nintendo's ramping up production, so we got to get close to the console coming out. But I just have a problem with a handheld. Now, handheld's a weird market, right? You have to be able to pack enough power without draining the battery in 30 minutes or an hour. It's a fine line, right? I mean, look at the, only other thing I could compare this to is the Legion handheld and then the Steam Deck, right? So, but I mean, the Steam Deck is still more expensive, or the Asus has the Ally. Ally is Asus, the Steam Deck, and then
isn't the AROG like 350 or 450, something like that?
I thought the Asus one was like $800 one. I thought that the Asus one was like 800, but the
Digital Foundry did kind of a equivalent, made like an equivalent machine to this chip, which was basically a toned down RTX 2050.
Oof. Yeah. I mean, that's pretty low on the teraflops and everything. I mean,
they lowered the RTX 2050's clock to 750 megahertz.
Oh, so they had to even lower that, huh?
And tested the assortment of games, both with and without DLSS. Games like Control and Cyberpunk 2077 rendered at 720p with the hobbled 2050. The games maintained at least 30 frames per second with enough headroom that DLSS at 1080p. And even more impressive, 60 frames per second might be possible with optimization. that suggests that Switch 2 could offer 1080p resolution even in handheld mode with the LSS.
I mean, whoop-de-doo, right? I mean, 1080p.
They've got to get out of the 1080p.
Right.
They've got to get out of the 1080p.
Like 1440p, I would say, is like minimum these days that you should be doing, right? You should be able to do something 4K in the best scenario for your console, is what I'm saying. But 1440p, I think, is kind of minimum, is what I would consider minimum these days. And at a really high hertz range, like, you know.
What's the Steam Deck have? What's it pushing? Is it hitting it ain't hitting 4K screen, is it?
I don't think so. I thought the Steam Deck, I don't know if the Steam Deck can do, I thought the Steam Deck, yeah, actually, can it? Yes, it can do, it says it can reach a 4K. Yeah, it says it could do 4K at 90 hertz and even optimized at 120 hertz. But I don't know. I've not seen that. But it says some games can run at 4K on the Steam Deck. So, but the Steam Deck is also a $600 device, right? So,
yes,
you know,
now
so
the AROG is Asus ROG Ally 7 is
it's $500. And then the Lenovo Legion is $550. So those are your closer comparison. But like I said, I mean, Switch 2, I have a problem with it being a $400 item, or even if it comes out at $450, to me is just, it's a rough sale because it has, if a ROG can beat it, a Legion can beat it, you know, the Ally, I should say, it's Asus ROG Ally, the Ally or the Legion can beat it, and it's within $100 of it, then what's your selling? I mean, the selling point is obviously Nintendo games, right? It's, you can only play these games here. But while legally true, those games often get ripped into ROMs and stuff. Not that I'm advocating for any type of speech, but I'm people that are, there's ways that people play. I mean, because what was the old Dolphin emulator that they put out on the Steam Deck for a while, could play all those games without even a hiccup. And then Nintendo went after the Dolphin emulator group and all these others. But, you know, there's always going to be emulators. But I just have a hard time spending $400 on something that's not going to give me the same performance for a console that I can buy for $400 today. Right. I mean, but like I said, it's handheld. So handheld's where it really hurts, where I really have to separate that mindset. And that's why I'm having trouble with separating my mindset, because I don't play it handheld. My Switch is always docked. And I play it with my Switch Pro controller sitting in my recliner on my big TV, you know, and that's really hard for me because I still look at the Switch as a console. I don't look at it as a handheld because I never play it in handheld mode.
You know what would be hard for the Switch or for Nintendo is if they didn't have their Nintendo exclusive games. Like if Zelda or Metroid and stuff went to other devices, people would probably not buy a Switch, right? I mean, some would, but I mean, like if you got the Steam Deck or the Ally or the Legion or any of those, right? Those are they're a little bit more expensive, yes, but they're a better bang for your buck, right? Than a Switch is, or a Switch 2 would be. It's those exclusivity titles that really make the Switch a must-have.
The Nintendo developed games, right? The Nintendo will never put their games on anything else. It's only on Nintendo, which is their way they cornered their market, right? They are Sony, but like Sony to the extreme, because Sony still puts their stuff out on PC, but at like a later date. You know, could be a year, could be a couple of years, could be more, you know, but they usually do put their stuff out on PC once sales figures slump low enough, and they're just like, all right, we're not going to sell this anymore on the PS5 or anything, or the PS4 or whatever. We're going to put this stuff on PC. And they typically do like a couple years later. If Nintendo did that, I mean, it would be hard. It would be a harder sell for them. Like if they pulled a Sony and said, we're going to put, Metroid Dread on PC or Mario on PC eventually, it would be hard for them to continue, because I wouldn't, very rarely do they put out a game that I just have to play like right now. And those games are typically Zelda and a Mario game. Outside of that, I'm really, Metroid is probably up there too. I would say it is. So those three games right there are reasons to own a Nintendo, in my opinion. But if they were to put them out on PC, I don't know. Maybe I might be able to wait a year or two. I don't know. Probably not, to be honest with you. Zelda games, wow. I don't have I have FOMO, some FOMO, but I don't know if it's enough on the Nintendo side. Like, I really am having a hard time justifying $400 for it. The game will probably be the selling point for me. If the new Metroid Prime comes out and it's only on the Switch 2, it's going to be hard for me not to buy it, but I don't think I would be able to buy it until later. I don't know. So I'm in a tough spot. To me, $400 is too much for a handheld. Like, I don't own an Ally. I don't own a Steam Deck because I have no need for them. I don't play mobile. I don't play handheld games, and I have a computer that I built, and so I just don't have a use for them. So that's why I'm struggling. I'm really struggling because I never undock my Switch. I've probably ruined the battery because it stays on the dock. I bet if I pulled it off the dock and tried to play it, it'd probably last an hour, 2 hours. I don't know what, because I never undocked the damn thing. I think the dock has a smart trickle charge in it, so it shouldn't kill the battery too much. But I guarantee it doesn't let it go below 90%. It's like, oh, time to charge again. Oh, time to charge again. So that just kills the battery. But so I'm in an impasse because of that. I am not their main market, right? Because I'm not going to go out and just buy it blindly. I really hope the price is wrong and it's $300 because I don't think the performance to price matches, in my opinion, because I just don't think it does. I don't think it matters. It doesn't match. The price performance doesn't match. But it's Nintendo, so they can do what they want to do. Just like Sony, they can do what they want to do. And but Sony just did all this stuff to their Portal, which to me makes the Portal a viable solution for $200 freaking dollars. Now it's a streaming device only. But maybe that's what Nintendo needs to do. But
no streaming device. No.
Nintendo needs to do this. Nintendo needs to make a real damn console and then make a streaming device for the mobile gaming, or go back to their whole DS Lite type lineup stuff.
That I would agree with. That I would definitely agree with.
Go back to like the whole Wii. I'm not saying go back that technology, but go back to having the console, the dedicated console, and the dedicated handheld device, because I thought they were doing just fine having a handheld market and a dedicated console market. Maybe they weren't. Maybe that's fallacy in my mind that I have, but I thought they were doing fine because every time I turn around, there's DS Lite, DS Lite XL, DS this, DS that, and they were having like umpteen different handhelds, and then the Wii did okay. The Wii U, I think, got the shaft.
No, the Wii wrecked. The Wii was a record-breaking device. The Wii U was a what the device because nobody could get the difference between Wii and Wii U. Because the Wii broke records. Grandmas, nursing homes played it. So
Wii U was a better device.
The Wii U was the better device. Absolutely. Because I think it was a great little device. Yeah.
I never had one when they came out, but I bought one years later, past the time that they're ever making stuff for it.
Yep.
And hooked it up and started playing some Wii U games. I'm like, man, this console's great. Like, why didn't I pick it up back then?
Yeah.
So like I said, I'm in that boat. So I'm not completely sold on it. If it does drop at $450, you might as well count me out. I don't even think it's as good as like a Quest. Ooh. And a Quest is cheaper. Quest 3S is cheaper.
Well, when it comes,
but it's
down
also
to
a niche item.
Yeah, when it comes down to it, there's
it's
still
way
too many unknowns.
It's going to sell.
Yeah, the scalpers have already got their robots and their credit cards set up on Best Buy, just waiting for drops.
They already got their pre-orders in.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they got the collector's edition too.
But so that's where I'm at. I'm in that aspect, and it's just because I do a price per performance type analysis on things because as I mentioned, I'm not a handheld gamer. Mine never leaves the dock. So to me, $450 or $400 even is not worth it because I can get a PS5 cheaper. I mean, $375 for a PS5 full digital right now. Xbox Series X, $450. or if you want to go with the series,
$429 right now. Or no, that was just for the Black Friday, I think.
Yeah, I think it's $450 on normal price, not on sale. And you can go to Sony Direct right now or Best Buy even and get a PlayStation Digital for $375. So, so I find it really hard to pay for something this big for something, a big old giant PS5, but it's the mindset that I'm in, right? If I was more of a take this thing to work, take this thing on the subway, take this thing on vacation, it might be more of a viable investment for me. But I have a hard time, and the exclusives are what's going to drive it. So if they drop with 3 or 4 exclusives, it might be worth it, because you're not going to be able to play them especially if they say not for Switch. I don't know if that'll happen or not. Like if the new Metroid comes out and it's only for the Switch 2, it'll drive sales numbers, right?
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, when it comes to Nintendo, I think probably their best sales happened when they released a major game, Zelda, Mario, Metroid, Kirby is not a main sell. So,
do you guys think that the whole reason I have a hard time believing this is going to be true is if the game is coming out, if the console is coming out in June or July, that's a very short window to say Metroid is only going to be on that device. That's a really short runway. And if scalpers scalp the hell out of these consoles, you're not going to be able to sell as many units, right?
Well, I'm talking about
game. I'm not talking about console. I'm talking about the game itself.
Oh,
game itself.
No, that's a good point. I mean,
because all the consoles will sell out because scalpers get 30-40% of them. And then 60% of the games are in the hands of gamers buying the game.
Yeah.
But so I find it really hard that Nintendo is going to make, I don't know, maybe they will. They'll, when it comes out, they'll say these games are only for the Switch 2. Sorry. I don't know if they will or not. But if they do, then it's going to be a hard sell not to if you really want to play those games. And I could see Nintendo doing that.
Well, we all know Nick's going to have one at the very launch. So we'll just go to his house until we decide it's viable purchase. So.
Right. Yeah. I'll be like, instead of borrowing Nick's Metroid game, I'm going to have to go over to his house and be like, hey, I'm going to sit in your chair and play this while you play on your computer.
Yeah. You can play the new Sex Divers game.
Yeah. You can play Sex Divers while I play your Metroid.
Yeah.
So. All right.
Even trade.
Yeah. So you guys got anything else on this one? I think we've chatted enough about it. I got a couple of rumors just sparked a half-hour conversation.
No, that's the problem with these leaks. It gets you thinking about what you don't know, and it gets you questioning the rumors that you probably know are BS. So it's like sitting listening to The View. It's just chatty Cathy trying to figure out what the hell's going on.
Yeah. Instead of this is 3 old white dudes.
Are you calling old bastard?
3 amigos.
Grandpa. We got Grandpa, Uncle, and Daddy.
Daddy.
Take a guess on which one's which. All right. Let us know what you think down in the comments. Are you going to buy a Switch if it's $400 or $450? I'm sure it's worth it to a lot of people who play a handheld. If you're not, what do you do? Same kind of cost performance analysis. What do you think about if it is really the T239 NVIDIA chip, system on a chip? Do you think it's worth it at that price? What will it take to get you to buy the Switch 2? If I have to sell you one today, what's it going to take to send you home with a Switch 2 today? So let us know what you think down in the comments. Are you excited for this one? And if you're not already subscribed to our channel, why not? You've reached the end. Help us out. Grandpa needs a new set of dentures. So, help us out, subscribe, and hit that bell to get notified when we put out new videos, because we put out new videos every week. We hope you enjoyed this episode and hope to catch you in the next one.
See ya.